through the rain and I weather the storm, I'm not looking to stop. My God sent the angels, I'm good when I move like I move with the mob. Tears in the valley, this life is a jungle, I pray to the top. Life is a marathon, I'm running to him, I'm shaking off weights and I'm done with the fear, cause I'm running with God.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Let me first say,
I'm running with God.
I am not an expert. I'm not certified. I am not, I have no degree in nutrition. I am not that guy. I'm a 44-year-old man that has loved to consume food in large quantities for years. I consume some good food, but I also consume a lot of bad food. Fried food, lack of veggies, lack of green material, lots of meat. Carnivore comes to mind. And those are wonderful things. So my experience comes from 40 years of being, not 40 years, but 20-something years of being an athlete and a coach, wanting to lead young humans in the right direction, fueling my own body, etc., and then getting smacked in the face with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis and what is happening. And so I've already, during this time, been able to share with some families some of what I've uncovered and what I think is leading to my health. I will say we just had a doctor visit a few days ago. Periodically, it seems like about every second or third time, our doctor will have a medical student with him that will come in, introduce themselves, and they kind of just, what's going on? Anything changed? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing that? It's kind of like they get to practice. And at times it's annoying because I feel like we're just wasting time. We want to talk to Doc. That's who we're here to see. This student has no real history of who I am or Sarah, what we've been through. We're just a name on a chart. But I also respect that and respect that this is an opportunity for them to learn and to start kind of cutting their teeth, if you will. And so this past Thursday when we had our visit, we have this medical student come in and he introduces himself and he basically gets on to the point that, this is an interesting case that we're studying because I've never even heard of this cancer until I read your file this morning. Cool. I don't know. How do you respond to that? Okay, which I was like, okay. And he's kind of starstruck at how the fact that he's talking to me. And, when I took that picture in May, I felt like a dead man walking. And here we are in April, and we're good. And we're getting ready to be back in May, and I'm not a dead man walking. So this experience is, what I'm going to share is just going to be from my experience, and I'm going to try to get into it and not dilly-dally too much. But just understand there's no certification here. There's no what I say goes. These are just the things that we've been learning. These are the things that have helped me get the terminal diagnosis in October of 2022 to be sitting here in front of you a week away from May of 2023. And, like we discussed, not just living, but thriving and doing well and living and working and being and giving and receiving and all of those things. And so, I think we'll start early on. Everybody knows, or if you've, been with us up to this point in the journey, you know that I've struggled to eat and really struggled with keeping food down. Hashtag Kate Farms saved me. It was my number one nutrition for probably close to 6 or 8 weeks. And food was not really an option for me. And so, we got to the point to where I said, man, when I can start eating again, the things that I'm going to eat. And I had a little list I was doing. And Sarah would always just kind of get a chuckle out of that. And the boys would get a chuckle out of that. Dad, you can't even eat. Why are you worried about, why are you putting these things down? And I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you guys, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to where I'm going to eat cheesy tater tots with bacon. and I'm going to eat a double bacon cheeseburger. Again, I'm going to eat nachos again. And, I guess in a way it was setting a goal, without really knowing, but that's what I was doing. So when we start the chemo, we're not eating consistently. And now they're telling you that the chemo is going to make things worse. It's going to affect your diet. It's going to affect your appetite. It's going to make you feel like crap. You're not going to have any energy. You're not going to want to do these things, but it is so, so important for you to keep your weight up, okay? And I remember our nutritionist telling us this. She came up while we were getting ready for treatment, introduced herself, and very friendly, just talking about what we need to be aware of in terms of our nutrition moving forward. And her big message to us that day was, you're going to start to lose weight. We need you to keep your weight up. We need your weight up so that your body has energy, so your body can fight. All the while, they're putting poison in your body that is killing all of your cells. Chemo does not discriminate. It is napalm. When I throw napalm on the ground, which I've never done and hopefully never see, but when you throw napalm on the ground, it doesn't care if it's a rock, if it's a tree, if it's grass, if it's a weed. It doesn't care if it's a pretty flower. It destroys everything. And that's what cancer does. That's what chemo does. It destroys everything, good and bad. So they're trying to get you to believe that if you keep your weight up by consuming anything and everything that you can, you're going to give your body a better chance at being strong, fighting, and basically surviving. So, okay, we take the information and, we're like, man, I'm not really eating anything anyway, so we'll do the best that we can. She comes back at our second visit, and she has brought a concern that I'm taking a vitamin C supplement, 1,000 milligram vitamin C supplement. And she makes it a point in that conversation with us. Now, keep in mind, this is the second time that we've talked and engaged with each other. And she says, the vitamin C is not regulated by the FDA. And so it says on the package that you've got 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, but we don't know if that's actually 1,000. We don't know what other things are in there. So that's something that I'm going to be cautious of. I really would like for you to stop taking that. I'll look at Sarah, and I don't think I was rude to the nutritionist. I certainly hope not. But I'm sure I kind of did one of the, y'all are putting chemo in my body. You're pulsing it through my veins with an IV. And you're worried about me taking vitamin C? I don't understand that. But, again, not feeling completely convicted in my ability to advocate for myself, I go along, okay, I'll stop taking the vitamin C. Well, as we get into How to Starve Cancer, Jane's book, and as we start to do some more investigation into the Care Oncology Center and the thinking and beliefs that they have, I start to follow a guy whose name is Chris Wark. Chris Beat Cancer. He's got a newsletter and an email that he sends out. It's a gentleman very similar to my own, I believe a stage 4 diagnosis, was given a terminal date, and is still alive years later because of many factors. I don't want to call it a diet, but lifestyle changes is a big part of that. And there's another gentleman that I follow on Facebook. His name is Carl Mason. And he has started this group movement called Love Your Cancer-Free Life. And Carl Mason spends a lot of time talking about energy, healing, letting go, dietary changes, lifestyle changes, etc. And so as we're kind of grouping and funneling all of these different things together, we're really finding out that gut health is so vitally important in this process. And there's a gentleman that I spoke to down in Bedford, Indiana, who's a herbalist and a naturalist, and he also happens to be a pharmacist. And, I was shared his information from one of our doctor visits. I reached out to him just basically to say, here's kind of what we're doing right now. And do you think this makes sense? Is there something that, from a naturalist perspective, do you think we should be doing or adding or not doing, etc.? And so he recommended a prebiotic, a probiotic. We talked a lot about gut health. And so again, as I just continue to gather this information, we're starting to form our own opinions on things. And we're starting to figure out, and I'm starting to figure out, and I've known this and I know this, but what you put into your body affects it all the way around. Mentally, physically, spiritually. And then what drives the health of your body is your gut. And if your gut is not healthy, you're not going to be healthy. And your gut can be kind of healthy, and you can be kind of healthy. And I'm sure there's situations out there where people maybe have just a really horrible diet and they're still healthy. And I'm sure there's situations out there where people really eat clean and do well and are very restrictive and maybe still have some health issues. But for the most part, if you are mindful of what you put in, what you get back out is going to be amazing. And so our whole thing through this was giving myself, right? This goes back to episode whatever it was, 3 or 4, when I told my wife and my sons that I was going to fight. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to punk out. I'm going to fight. And so we start talking about, well, what does that look like in this regard? In terms of food, what does fighting look like? So for me, fighting now looks like I start my day every day. I'm sure I miss some. 99% of the time I start my day with an organic squeezed lemon every morning. Organic in part because we don't want the pesticides and all of the stuff that goes into food that we're so used to at this point in time. If I buy a pepper at the store and I bring that pepper home and I let it sit out on my counter, and a month later that pepper doesn't look changed, that should cause us some alarm, right? It goes back to Morgan Spurlock with the Super Size Me, and when he took the hamburger from McDonald's, and I can't remember the time frame that he used, but I think he had left it, in this covered glass jar for like a month. And it did not change in appearance at all. Why is that? Preservatives. Preservatives have a degree of benefit, but when things are so overly preserved that they can stay unchanged in their physical nature for a month, and they're not supposed to do that, that should cause us some alarm. So we are not completely organic, but the effort I make to be organic is 1,000 times much improved from where we were 14 months ago. Okay, so I start with a daily squeeze lemon, and that first thing you put in your body is a really good cleanse for the gut, for the intestines, the colon, and really helps flush toxins and things that are hanging out and laying around in there that you don't want, okay? I usually fast through lunch, so I try to eat dinner and be done eating by 8 o'clock. Some nights it's 9 o'clock. I don't kill myself over that. Some nights, if I'm out at a track meet or if just things are busy, I might not eat until 9 or 10, or I might have another meal at 9 or 10. But I try most nights to be done eating, consuming food at 8 o'clock at night. Go on with my night, go to bed, wake up, do my lemon squeeze, and I start usually with a glass of tea, and I will not eat until lunchtime. Intermittent fasting has been something that I have now been turned on to and now do. It's really become a habit. I don't even really have to think about it most days. But that lemon squeeze comes in. Number one, I've allowed time for my body to take that material that I've put into it. It's got time to break it down. It's had all night to process. I then hit it with that lemon squeeze, which is kind of that cleanse and that push through. And then just fluid, right? Just tea is all that I have throughout the morning, or water. And so again, I'm allowing my body to work and to process and to filter and to do its job. And then I have a lunch, right? And then I have dinner, and we start all over again. So the big difference I won't call it a diet because I'm not on a diet. I eat like a madman. And, if you've been around me, or if you talk to anybody that's been around me when I eat, we went out to dinner Thursday night after treatment with Marcus and Mercedes. It's something that has very much become one of those moments that I look forward to. I'm already looking forward to it, and we're still 3 weeks away from the next time. You talk about those moments and those people that make your soul feel good, and that's what they are. And we leave there, time spent with them, whether it's an hour or 3 hours, or sometimes we go up to their house and we spend the night. And no matter the time, we leave and we feel blessed to have been able to have spent that time with them. But if you ask them, Thursday night we go out and we try new restaurants, and so it's this sense of adventure and whatever. But I ordered 2 dinners. Legitimately, I ordered 2 dinners. I ordered 2 pieces of chicken, 2 things of rice, 3 sides of carrots, and 2 sides of green beans. All right? The amount of money I spent on my dinner is insane. We don't do that obviously every day or every week, so it's our splurge night. And, usually I have fasted at least for the first part of the day, or if not for the entire day of treatment until that point. So I'm hungry. So I eat, okay? But again, the food that I'm eating, what am I putting into my body? How am I allowing my body to work to help me? Okay? So I think back on what I was eating and how I was eating, and I could say that I ate okay. We didn't have fried foods every night. I didn't eat cheeseburgers every night. I tried to incorporate granola bars and, an apple here and there and an orange here and there and some different things like that. Would have wraps instead of, bread. I would do the keto wraps and some of these other things. So we were taking some steps, but nothing that I was super serious about. Well, when you get a stage 4 terminal diagnosis, again, you turn over every rock. I think like we talked about in a previous episode with Deborah Hubebard, if, there's magic unicorn urine that I've got to find under a rock in the Himalayas, I'm going to find it. And so you start to look at everything. And so when we got to the point that we started eating, again, consistently, I wanted to be conscious and aware of what we were putting in there. And instead of cheeseburgers and processed food, which so much of our food is processed, it's unbelievable. Things sit in our freezer for a month before we use them. Every time that you freeze something, that something loses nutritional value, right? When you overcook your food, if you overcook it and you burn it, you cook out a lot of the nutritional value that's in there. And so not only that, but then with chemo, your taste is different. And so things that normally you would have loved don't always necessarily taste like that. They don't taste the same. Sometimes they don't taste good at all. Sometimes things that you never ate are now all of a sudden something that you eat all the time. So the diet change, which has now become a lifestyle change for me, revolves around this. And we said this was going to be a shorter episode, so I'm going to try to kind of wrap things up here in the next 5 to 10 minutes and give you just the brief overview. And I want you to really challenge yourself to think about this. If in a normal day for me, I'm eating a couple sandwiches with bread and cheese and mayonnaise and lunch meat, and I have a bag of chips with it, and maybe I have an apple or an orange and a granola bar, and then I come home at dinner and I have some more processed food, maybe a hamburger, maybe a steak, and some green beans and some mashed potatoes and some rolls. That's a pretty good day. It's a pretty good dinner. I might have had an energy drink called a Bang in there. I might have had some caffeine. I'm not really a big caffeine guy in terms of pop. I might have had a Diet Pop. I might have had a Bang. I've had lots of water. Now, I'll have most days anywhere from 6 to 10 cups of tea, green tea, diet green tea. I've got some other flavors as well that I could and would be more than happy to share with you. There's a lot of benefit behind green tea because of the anti-inflammatory properties that the green tea allows. Anti-inflammatory is very important for your body because most of our bodies are so inflamed because of the stress that we put them under through work, through relationships, through food. So most of our bodies are over-inflamed. Hypertension is a real thing, and inflammation is a real thing. Green tea helps with that. So if I can help my body fight inflammation by simply what I drink, that's a no-brainer to me. Can I do that? Yes. Is it a little bit more of a pain in the butt to brew 12 to 14 cups of tea? Yes. Or to do it 2 at a time in the microwave? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. And then I don't eat in the morning, so I'm allowing my body more time to process the dinner and to filter it through. And then what I eat at lunch typically is a form of protein. I still do eat red meat, but not as much as I used to, not even anywhere remotely close as I used to. I will focus on chicken, and I will tend to steer towards salmon or a fish variety. Again, can I make choices in that regard? Can I find chicken that is organic? Can I find beef that is organic? Shout out to Mrs. Altoff and Mrs. Turner. They have provided us cows. I mean, we have purchased cows. They've provided wonderful beef for us these last few years. So when I do eat red meat, beef, pork, I don't feel bad because I know where it is coming from. I know the people that raised the animal. I know the land that it was on. I know how the animal was taken care of, and I know that it is good, healthy nutrition. Same for me when I go to the store to buy chicken, to buy fish. I will go out of my way to find the organic version of it. It is more expensive. It is less likely to be stocked, but to me it's worth it. Again, when you're fighting just everyday normal weight loss, not a big deal, you're not as motivated. When you're motivated by mortality, when you're motivated by trying to earn an extra 10 hours of life instead of giving 10 hours of your life away based on your food choices, I want to earn those 10 hours. So, and again, we're not completely organic. I would say maybe 50 to 65%, maybe a little bit more. But at lunchtime, I'm sitting down with some form of vegetable. Typically, it's broccoli slaw. My wife, we've joked about getting ownership, buying some stock in broccoli slaw. She gets these little 2-pound bags of them at Kroger. Shout out Kroger. North side, south side. And there have been days where I have eaten a 2-pound of broccoli slaw in one sitting. And you think, oh my gosh, Michael, that's 2 pounds. Yes, but do you know that I would go and eat 2 pounds of a double cheeseburger with French fries and ketchup, and that was 2 pounds? So what would I rather have in my body? 2 pounds of broccoli slaw or 2 pounds of that stuff? Both are delicious, but if I'm trying to help my body fight, which of those two choices is going to give my body the best chance to fight and to win? And it's going to be the cleaner stuff. It's going to be the vegetables. It's going to be the the organic food that is not filled with pesticides or preservatives. Okay, so think, if you grab a muffin, say you grab a Jimmy Dean sausage biscuit. No offense to Jimmy Dean, they're wonderful, great. I've lived on them, survived on them for years. But I grab that in the morning, toss it in the microwave because I'm in a rush, and I put that in my belly. Processed food already hitting your gut. Okay, it's harder for your body to break that down, to get the nutrition out of it that it needs to fight and to be at 100%. And then I go to lunch, and I'm going to do a good lunch, but I'm going to go to Panera, and I'm going to get their salad. Okay, so that's probably a good choice. There's more than likely some things that are a part of that salad that have been preserved or that have been sealed or that have been frozen. But that is a better choice than the Baconator. Although the Baconator is delicious, the salad's a better choice, okay? And then you come home for dinner, and, it's a busy night. Kids have been out, they've got practice, or there's a soccer game, or a tennis match, or cross-country meet, and everybody's getting home at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and nobody wants to cook, and so you stop on the way home to Rally's or Arby's or Taco Bell, or you call Pizza X or Pizza Hut and you have pizza delivered, okay? So in that one day, you've had 2 out of your 3 meals have been incredibly processed food with preservatives and all kinds of just added junk, additives, and all kinds of things that are difficult for your body to handle and to process and to break down. And then you go to bed. And more than likely, you've not given your body enough water. You've not given your body enough hydration. And so your body very slowly and very incrementally starts to build up. It's no different than if you dump grease down a pipe or down your sink. The first time you do it, no issue. The 5th time you do it, no issue. The 15th time you do it, the 50th time, oh crap, why isn't our sink draining? Same thing with your body. When we flood our body with preservatives and additives and all of the junk that goes into our food, eventually your body is not going to be able to work as efficiently as it is intended. And your body will not be able to fight infections and disease. You won't have the mental health that you are hoping to have. It affects every component of what you're doing. Your sleep, your spirit, your brain. And so the big thing about nutrition, and that I want to share in trying to kind of wrap up here, is they will tell you sitting in that chemo chair, eat anything and everything that you can. It is so important for you to keep your weight up. To the point that they were offering me, and they offer anybody that comes up there, pudding and chips and pop. And one of the big things, the 2 main things that I try to stay away from are sugar, and more specifically, added sugar, and carbs. Okay, we have found some research and some information that the carcinoma can be fed more easily with carbs. And so without knowing that I was moving towards kind of a ketonic and a keto diet, that's what we've done. And I really try to watch the carbs, the starches, and the sugar. The sugar is what I watch more than anything. The added sugar is what I watch. Number 1, and I don't care what anybody says, sugar feeds cancer. And our nutritionist, we had this debate, and it didn't get heated, but it was passion-filled. And after that conversation with her, our second day, we've not seen or heard from our nutritionist since. Okay? So this is a person who was assigned to me to help me navigate cancer, and we've not spoke to her in at least 6 months, minimum of 6 months. She's not reached out to us, not checked in, because that's how kind of off-putting our conversation was. I said, well, some of the research I'm seeing is talking about watch your sugar, and well, your body's going to convert things to sugar even if you don't put sugar in there. So that's kind of a fallacy. False. There is sugar in everything we eat. That is naturally occurring sugar. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the added sugar. If you go to the package, if you go to your drink, if you go to your granola bar, if you go to your Snickers bar, if you go to your package of ramen noodles, whatever food you have, check the package. It'll tell you how many sugars are in there, and then it'll tell you how many added sugars are in there. Naturally occurring sugar is a part of what God has created here for us. The added sugar is not. And when you think about what the average American diet is, which is consuming soda pop and beverages, carbonated beverages, and it's fast food and it's processed food from the grocery store and it's we are literally flooding our body with toxins and nonsense. And then we want our body to act and behave in a way as if it should be functioning properly. And I'm telling you, your gut health is so important to a lot of these things that are going on in your life. Inflammation, hypertension, start looking into it, do some research. Instead of having coffee, let me switch you to green tea. Let me switch you to decaffeinated green tea so you don't get the caffeine in there as well, okay? Yes, does it taste as well? No. Is it better for your body? Yes. If I came to you today and said what you do in this next day is either going to add a day to your life or it's going to take a day away from your life and you only have 10 days left, are you going to choose to add a day or take a day? So gut health is incredibly important. Your body being able to take the food in that we give it and then process it and filter it and get rid of it as quickly as it can, as safely as it can, and as effectively as it can. What happens with those additives and preservatives and toxins that we put in is they stay in your gut and they sit in your gut and they stay there because the body can't process them out. It can't push them through because it's bogged down, because the pipes are drained and they're clogged. If you start putting better in, you're going to get better out. And so there are days during a week, unintentionally, I am a vegetarian. I don't eat breakfast. So if I go to lunch, shout out Blooming Foods, I go there usually once a week. Brussels sprouts, I eat pounds of Brussels sprouts every week. As Henry likes to refer to them, Brussies. Brussies. Oh, Dad and his Brussies. Oh, Dad loves Brussies. Okay? Brussels sprouts, carrots, cucumbers, peppers, salad, broccoli slaw, asparagus. I will go days and do nothing but eat vegetables. Not because I'm forcing myself to, because now, after so much time, it's what I crave. The same way that I craved that double cheeseburger and the French fries with the bacon and the cheese on top is the same way that I crave Brussies. I'm literally going to be leaving the podcast today and going to Fresh Time to buy Brussies. I want Brussies. I love Brussies. They're delicious. Carrots, I could eat carrots all the time. At track meets, I usually pack a salad or on Tuesday when we had a track meet, my dinner was chopped up peppers, cucumbers, and sliced carrots with what Henry also affectionately refers to as my bird seed, my bird food, okay, which is just a mix of ramen noodles, sunflower seeds, and sliced almonds, okay? I still eat protein. I'm still a 200-pound man that loves to eat. I love chicken. I do love some salmon. I enjoy cod. So don't get me wrong, protein is still very much a part of my diet, but I'm finding protein in other ways. I'm finding protein as a protein shaker in plant-based form. I'm finding protein from bone broth protein, which is better for my body, easier for my body to break down and to process. And so again, think about it like this, and I want to wrap up and end this episode. If I'm putting in processed, additive-ridden, sugar out the wazoo, carbs all day, throughout the day, even if I only eat one meal, but that meal is filled with all of those things, versus I eat one meal and it's 1 pound of broccoli slaw and it's half of a pound of Brussels sprouts and a side of carrots, which way do you think your body is going to receive and process better? Which one of those makes more sense? And you don't need me to tell you the cleaner route, right? So even if you can't go organic because it's expensive, because you don't have availability, can I go and choose some of those other vegetables? Can I go find one vegetable that I like that I can go and eat? And does it get old eating cucumbers sometimes? Yeah, it does. You mix up a ranch sauce or a tzatziki sauce. You find ways that you can bring a spin to it. Because my thought is was the ranch great for me? It's not great for me. But if I had 2 servings of carrots with some ranch versus a large French fry from McDonald's with a side of ranch, which one is better for my body? The carrots, obviously, right? So, and I'm going to end with this because especially as it relates to cancer, they are going to tell you to eat anything and everything that you can. And there is some truth in that. When you can't eat, when you don't have an appetite, when things taste like death because chemo has ransacked your body, and you find that crispy fried fish is the only thing that tastes good and you need to eat that. You have to have nutrition. But when you get to the point to where you can start making choices and you can have some discernment with what you're eating and what you're putting into your body, I want to encourage you to think about what you're doing, what you're putting in. How are you aligning your body to fight? Are you helping yourself or are you hurting yourself? There's no doubt that I would have made my nutritionist happy if I would have just sat in that chair, accepted what she said, and gone and grabbed some fruit, the pudding cups and a Coke, and just slammed them back. Because guess what? I would have consumed 800 calories right then and there. But those 800 calories are literal shit. Like they are calories that my body can't use because it's over-processed sugar. And so what does it do with that sugar? It stores it because it doesn't know how to process it. And then I get my fat rolls and I look in the mirror and I feel bad and I'm unhealthy. My gut's unhealthy. Versus if I find some foods that I can take in, that my body's going to absorb, that my body's going to be able to filter and process and push back out and use for energy to fight, to have some mental clarity, to have some pizzazz about myself, why would I not want to do that? The nutritionists are paid by they're not paid by universities, but they're paid by their place of employment. They have a degree from an established, entity that has charged them a lot of money to get that degree, so they're not going to speak badly on that degree. They're not going to speak badly about the place that gave them that information, and they have a job. That's their job that they've earned. I don't want to speak bad on them because they're doing their job. But I think we are setting people up for failure when that's the message. When the message is it doesn't matter what you eat, just consume anything and everything you can, that's where I have a problem. And that was the idea behind this episode, was to talk a little bit about nutrition, what my experience has been. Like I said, most days I'm consuming a ton of tea, green tea, diet tea, but there's also some other flavors that I enjoy. I'm consuming vegetables. I consume more vegetables in one day now than I would have consumed in a week. Okay? And then it's about being mindful as much as you can as to the route in which the food that you're getting and putting into your body where it's coming from, how it's sourced, how is it taken care of. Dairy is another thing I've cut out, not completely. I've moved to an almond milk. We still do have dairy. Thankfully, we've got some neighbors that do a wonderful job of keeping us stocked with fresh eggs. Again, I know where the hens are. If you ever get an egg from a rooster, just be mindful of that. Okay, let me just a little side note here in the podcast. I know where the hens are. I know how the hens are being fed. I know how they're being taken care of. I know that egg is coming from a good, wholesome source that's been grain-fed out in a field, wandering around in the grass. They've been taken care of with love. They've been nurtured and safe. And so I don't feel bad about when I have eggs once, maybe every week or once every other week. I don't feel bad about that. So again, knowing where your food's coming from, how is it sourced, how is it grown, how is it raised, how is it sent to me, how is it sent to the store? Is it loaded with preservatives? Is it loaded with all of these toxins to keep it fresh so it's sitting on my counter 5 weeks from now and doesn't look like anything's happened to it? And then we're going to put that in our body, and we think that our body's just going to keep handling that over and over and just be fine? All of that plays into the health of yourself, along with your work environment, which is a whole nother episode, along with your family environment, along with your mental health, all of that feeds into your body's ability to fight and to give you a chance to keep living. We got some specifics, but not a lot. Talked a lot in general about some things. More importantly, if you know somebody battling or fighting cancer and this is an issue, food, diet, nutrition is an issue, I am more than happy to help. I'm more than happy to share our experiences with you. I am more than happy to share some of the things that we're doing, that we do on a daily, weekly basis to help me. And there's no way that these steps that we've taken, I'll ever be convinced that these steps that we've taken have not helped me be to where I am today. Alive at the 14-month mark and thriving at the 14-month mark when I should have been a dead man 6 months ago. It is because of God. It is because of nutrition. It is because of advocacy. It is because of learning. It is because of changed work environment. It's because of mental awareness. It's because of learning limits and setting limits and adhering to those limits. All of that plays in to our well-being. And so there's our episode on nutrition. All right, well, thank you for tuning in. We believe maybe episode 11, not sure. We're still figuring out some things. We appreciate that you tuned in and continue to tune in. As always, please like, share, subscribe, heart, pass this message on, share this message. Many of you have reached out to us and just shared your gratitude and your hearts with us, and we're so incredibly thankful for that. I was sharing with JT that this morning before I left, a friend of mine had reached out to me and had shared his experience as he was watching episode 9. And so we know that they're making a difference. We know that they're making an impact. And that is the whole reason that we wanted to try. This is why we felt led to do this, is because we want to help people. And so we appreciate you being here. Maybe not, it definitely was not an emotional episode, so that's awesome. I've heard from some of my friends like, dude, when you cry, I cry, and that makes me want to hurt you because I don't like to cry. And so, you had an episode that I did not cry. So be thankful for that. I am. But it's one that I am definitely passionate about. I definitely think we have a lot more power and control over our health than we know. And it starts with simply just being aware of our gut health and is our gut healthy? And then what am I doing to help my gut or to hurt my gut? And how my body handles, processes, fights, all of those things. So if you do have any questions or comments, we're going to toss out an email to you. So email us at thankfulfortheday23@gmail.com. thankfulfortheday23@gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to share anything that we can with you, with your family member, whatever it may be. As always, we appreciate you taking time out of your day. We know that you're pulled in a lot of different directions. We appreciate, again, community continues to shine bright for us. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to us, continue to reach out to us. I can't tell you how impactful the text messages, the emails, the phone calls are. And essentially those things, those text messages and emails and Facebook posts, they all create this net that catches us when we fall. And to you, you may think I'm burdening them, or I don't want to be too much, or there's probably 15 people reaching out. If you felt moved and led, if you feel that prick on your heart, please do it. And not just with me, with anybody, with your neighbor, with your brother, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your sister, whoever it may be in your life. If you feel that compulsion, hey, this person crossed my brain today, let that person know, man. That might be the one string of the net that they need to make it to tomorrow. And I'm telling you, so many times, a text message or a phone call or a Facebook message has come through when I needed it to come through. I didn't know I needed it until I got it. And so just let me encourage you to spread that. When you feel that prick of the heart, that tink, do something with it, man. For me, it's been invaluable. I cannot express that enough. Thank you so much to our community for your support. Thank you for continuing to watch. Please share, like, and spread this message so that we can help impact more people in a positive way. And as always, look hard. Hopefully you don't have to look hard. But if you do, you'll find one reason to be thankful for today, and that's a good day. Much love.